Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Double, and today we're going to take a look at a new audio interface from Lekato, their SF201. And not only are we going to take a look at it, I'm also going to guide you through getting this set up in OBS, a very common video recording application, because this is a high quality audio interface for not a lot of money. And you get a USB to USB-C, USB-A to USB-C cable. You get a headphone adapter. You don't get headphones, you're going to want to invest in some of those or have some speakers so you can monitor everything. But basically, what we're looking at is a 2-input, 2-output USB audio interface. And it comes with software, a little sticker that you can put on the bottom of it if you want. You can go to the website and you're going to download the drivers for it depending on what computer source you're using. I'm going to use this on a Windows computer, even though at the moment I'm recording on my Mac. So we're going to pop this USB audio interface into Windows and get it going with OBS and a microphone and a camera and the desktop, all that kind of stuff. I'll show you how to use the Lekato SF240X. It has its own software. It has everything that you really need to get started with whatever operating system you're using, and then get it going really quickly into either your plugin or your video recording program, etc. I'm having no problems running at 48K into OBS and the other software that I've been testing it with so far. We have individual Air and High Z buttons for all of our gain, and as well as individual gain controls. You have direct monitor, and then you have a button to select to listen to the software that you're using. You may not want to hear your direct guitar, and you would use the software button in that case in order to hear it. You want to download the drivers from their website. You go to the link that's on the sticker, or you can also just Google the link. You can go to their website, which is where I just got the driver from, or you can go to the link that's on the sticker. You'll be able to download the drivers for your appropriate operating system. The XLR is a combo jack, so it'll take a 1/4-inch input, and using the High Z will allow you to alter the gain and the input impedance of your instrument. I'm gonna keep High Z off for my microphone, and I'll turn it on for my guitar going direct. If you're using a pedal, you maybe will not want High Z. Some people use High Z depending on the pedal's output. So check your pedal's output and what it does. If you're just using like a drive pedal, yeah, keep the High Z on, sure, give it a shot. And if you're going direct with a guitar or a bass, keep the High Z on. It's just going to help everything. Although if you are using, say, like a multi-effects device or some processor and it sends line out, then you might not want the High Z on. You'll probably want to turn that off in order to match the impedance. You're going to install these drivers the appropriate way. There's manuals that you can look over. And then you can plug your mic in and you can plug your guitar in, and we'll go over all of that in just a second and how to set up OBS with this great little unit. Not only does it have the multiple input options, so like I was saying, an XLR or 1/4-inch input, you can also add air, which is going to just kind of change the, it's going to boost the high-end frequency. It's going to just make it a little more breathy sounding. And I use an SM7B, and a lot of people will use an actual little thing called a cloud lifter to do that. Well, this gives you the option to add some kind of that top presence that might be missing from a dynamic microphone. And now, being that I'm using a dynamic microphone, I will not need to turn on the featured 48 volts of phantom power. But if you have a condenser microphone, you can turn on 48 volts and power that microphone. The unit actually has USB-C dedicated power, and it also has a connection on the back to connect to your audio interface. If you're new to the internet and have not heard of OBS Studio, it's a great software suite that I highly recommend you grab for your operating system. You can do Windows, Mac, even Linux. And you download this software and you'll extract the files and do everything that you would normally do to set up any kind of software. It's really easy. There's a whole ton of different plugins and different things that you can do. And if you do some searching through YouTube, you'll get all sorts of tutorials about setting up OBS. Today we're going to go very basic. Install the program, let it kind of figure out what the computer is. We're going to tell it whether we want to record or stream. You can set up multiple scenarios for OBS. In fact, you can have one profile set up for streaming. You can have another profile set up for recording. I generally use it for recording. I don't do a lot of streaming, although I kind of wish I would. Now I have no excuse, neither will you. This is a great way to, on a budget level, use some of the gear that you already have lying around. You probably have a dynamic microphone somewhere, and you probably have a guitar. You wouldn't be watching this channel more likely than not, right? If you have a guitar, you should go over to FretBuzz. Maybe you've even come to me from FretBuzz, but check them out. I'm working with them and trying to coordinate my reviews with some of the gear that John over there is getting. John is an editor at Guitar World magazine and has been for 25 plus years. And he has started up fretbuzz.co. So if you get a chance, head over to fretbuzz.co and check them out. We're going to be working together on some more Lekato gear. So subscribe to the channel if Lekato is your kind of thing, or even budget gear of any sort, or instructional deep dive videos. This is what I kind of like to do. Once you get OBS installed and tell it, hey, I want to do streaming or recording, it's going to look at your computer and it's going to recommend settings. And just go ahead and hit apply settings. And that's the simplest way to get OBS rolling along with whatever operating system you have. We're going to start OBS with a completely blank scene. And you can see down here in the sources section, that's where we're going to add different things such as video, audio, anything that we're trying to send into the computer, web screens, applications, all that kind of stuff. First, we're going to start off with an audio input capture. And you can rename it whatever you want in order to be able to keep track of your devices. And of course, we're going to call this one the Lekato SF2401. And then once you have decided on the name for your device, you go ahead and hit OK. And you'll see that device give you some options. Now, you'll be able to pick from a pull-down menu which device you're going to be using. And I'm going to be using my USB interface is what it sees it as. And with that little eyeball, you can make it visible or invisible. You can lock it. And at this point, we can add filters. There's an EQ, compression. There's even upwards compression, which will, if you move your head around a lot when you're recording on a microphone, that can help out. And we're going to add to this same scene. We've already added our audio. Let's just go ahead and grab our display. Let's say we want to jam along with something that's on a screen, or we want to watch a video and talk about it. Something like that. We'll just call it, for me, I have a couple of screens. I want to keep track of it this way. This is my left screen. Now, you're going to be able to pick which screen you want by coming down here to the device section. And I happen to have 3 screens connected to my Windows PC. And you can pull down on this pull-down menu here and pick from which one you want. Go to the one that you're going to be operating from. And as you can see, we were looking at the screen there that I'm using OBS on. So now when you grab the red corners, you can adjust it and have it fit your output section. And then you can also go into the resolutions in the properties, and you can come over here to the right section, and this is where we're either going to start recording or start streaming. And that's our control section. We have some choices on how to use OBS now. We can also add ourselves a camera, and we'll go ahead and plug in my Logitech to this thing. We can size up our screens. We can move our sources around. We can move our scenes around. Everything becomes kind of user-friendly as you start to mess around with OBS. You can start to make things a little more comfortable for yourself. If I hit these 3 dots, I can change to a vertical layout, which to me is just a little more normal for me to see my views. I can tighten up an area. This is going to be our scene transitions. There's plenty of different scene transitions that we can add as plugins in OBS. And using all of the different filters that are available on our audio input, we can really start to fine-tune how we're going to set up our microphone. You couldn't quite see what I did there to pull that down. In Windows, you would just go up to the top of OBS and hit File and select Settings. On your Mac, you would go over to the OBS selection and hit Preferences. And if we go to our stream, we can set up whichever platform we would like to stream to, whether it's Facebook, YouTube. I'm a YouTuber, so go ahead and do that. And you select all of this information. Again, I highly recommend looking at another video if this is something you want to get into, but you basically are given a stream key from YouTube, and you're going to put it right there in your stream key area. You can set up your output to be however you want it. You can have it be 1080, and the more output you add, the greater quality you add to everything, the more lag you're going to start to get. Now, I noticed when I plugged in default-wise to OBS here with the Lekato SF2401, there was no latency. Like, I had no latency on my first couple of recording tests. This is an area in the audio setup where you can start to really dig deep into the routing and how many different sources you're going to have going into OBS. Right now, we're going to really keep it simple. We're going to just have our microphone, and we're going to set up a guitar through a plugin, a whole completely different plugin, and we're going to monitor that plugin through OBS. And that's really what I want to get into. This is, if you set all of your stream stuff up, it's going to ask you to sign in, and it will link OBS to whatever platform you're deciding you want to use. I'm actually just really going to use this for recording, and I want to add another scene because so far we don't have my face. We don't have anything else really going on. We don't have much else other than my computer screen, which we now know we can adjust and size up. We can add all sorts of different things, such as the plugin that we're going to be using. So we can talk about a particular plugin and look at it on screen while hearing ourselves using it with the guitar. And in fact, with OBS, you can send your voice to one audio track and you can send the guitar to another audio track, so that in your editing software, if it's set up that way, I use CapCut. It's really easy to just go ahead and select which audio track I want to be monitoring from, and I just pull up the guitar track when I want it, and I pull up the audio track when I don't. But right now I have Polychrome open. This is a free, there is a free version of this. I have the actual purchased version, but we'll just listen to the main software. We're going to ask it to listen to the Lekato audio interface input number 2. Okay, that's very important. We have our microphone plugged in. For me, I'm using one for my microphone, and I'm going to use audio input 2 for my guitar going directly into my plugin. So if you do not do a couple of special tricks, which I'm going to get to in just a second, you're going to hear your voice in the plugin, or you'll hear your guitar through OBS in the vocal mic, and you really won't want to do that. So we're going to set this up as 2 inputs, but OBS is only going to see the microphone as 1 input, and then because I selected input 2 in my plugin, I'm going to be able to do whatever it is that I want with the guitar only and not my voice. And I can use the trim to set the gain here. I want to make sure that I don't really go into the red with my guitar, kiss the yellow. That's kind of what I like to do with my preamps. Even with guitar, sometimes I won't even kiss the yellow. A vocal mic, you can start to really kiss the yellow a little bit. But that's, right now we're looking at audio from my guitar going into number 2, and my microphone is going into number 1. And I have high Z selected because I want the guitar impedance to be proper. It's seeing a pickup, so it wants to have the proper voltage and it wants to have the proper resistance for the recording. And again, like I said, I'm doing 48K into OBS. And then I can also, on my microphone, since I know that this thing's a little bit dead, I'm going to end up hitting that air button. I don't need 48 volts on any of this. I have a dynamic microphone. So now what we're going to do is make sure that we can actually hear just the microphone from the Lekato. And we're going to click mono on my Lekato, and we're going to move it all the way over to the left. Now, if you're using it the other way around and your mic is in 2, pan that all the way over to the right. Now we're going to add another source, which is our application audio capture. And this is in beta, but it's working fine for me. What I've found no issues with it. Create new, and I just go ahead and call it that. And now it's going to ask you which window are we going to want to listen to. And I want to, you can pull down Google. I want to pull down the McLaughlin suite so that all I'm going to hear on this track is the guitar going in there. And now you can see it's a noisy, gainy patch. It's a high gain kind of a plug-in, and you want to adjust your input levels properly. And you're going to, if you have a gate, you're going to want to do that too. See, if I hit the guitar right now, it's going into the red. So I wanted to bring the gain down a little bit. And you can do, I actually matched the guitar properly already so that I'm only hitting the green. And now I can bring the audio application audio down in OBS so that I don't have to keep changing my gain structure at the Lekato. I have that Lekato set up just right to be hearing this guitar into my plugin without peaking. And now the audio coming out of my plugin is going very loud into OBS. So I can just bring it down here and not really mess with any of my audio output levels on the plugin, and I don't have to worry about any of my gain structure anymore as far as my guitar going into the plugin. Everything at the Lekato is good, and I can balance it down here at the application audio. Now I have the Shure SM7 going into my Lekato. I have the mic going into input 1, and I have the guitar going into input 2. And I have now dedicated the plugin to just see the audio from the guitar, and the audio from my microphone is now just going over to that source. Let's add a new scene. We're going to plug my camera in, and we're going to call this face. And I later realized I can't also call a camera the same thing that you call a scene. So we're going to call this, because this is going to be my face cam or the room cam, something like that. I've added it. And now we have a blank scene. When I click on the face, there's nothing really there. So what I want to do is copy my audio sources over to this so that it's all the exact same. You hit copy, then you click over on your new one, face, and you hit paste. And you can do multiples, of course. I'm just going one at a time. I've grabbed my audio from the guitar, and now I'm grabbing my Lekato, and we're going to go ahead, go back over to my new scene, and we're going to paste those in as well. And so now when I go to either one of these scenes, I have the same audio going in. And I can mute my microphone down here if I decide that I want to do it. I can mute the guitar down there. Everywhere where you see a little speaker, that will mute that input source. So I've muted the guitar right here, the guitar plugin. And when I'm over on this other scene, that will stay muted. So you do have to kind of keep track of that. You can set up all sorts of ways to control OBS with all sorts of different devices. Not going to get into that. What we want to do now is add a video, another video source. We're going to add my cameras. We're going to right click in the sources area, and we're going to come down to video capture device. We're going to click on that. And I can't call this face, as I just said. It won't let me do that because there's already a scene called face. If I try to do that, it's just going to give me the message that I can't do that. So I'm going to have to call it something other than that. And I'll just go ahead and rename it here. Very easy. Down here, you can pick your resolution for your camera, do all of that kind of stuff. I'm kind of just leaving everything at default just to get this rolling. And what I'm going to do now is jump off of my Mac, and from here on out, you're going to see everything on the not tweaked camera, but with the Lekato. All right, so I hit start recording. I've got the Shure SM7B plugged into the Lekato 2401, channel 1, air on the microphone, and I got a 1/4 inch going from the guitar into channel 2. Everything's set so that even when I get really loud, it doesn't get to red. When I hit the guitar really hard, it just hits the yellow. And same with my voice. If I start to talk too loud, it's only going to get to yellow. And I have OBS, all that stuff running over here. there. I've got the guitar all on its own, and I've got the mic all on its own. Now, there is one thing that's kind of happening. If I come over here to scene, you can see that there's my voice talking. If I come down to this little area there, the green level, that's my voice. And then that's the guitar over on that side. So when I'm talking, it's nothing's happening over on the guitar side. But when I start playing guitar, you'll notice that the mic itself is picking up my fingers hitting the strings. So we can fix that by adding a gate. We'll just go down here to the Lekato, and we're going to hit filters. We're going to select the Lekato, hit filters, and we're going to hit noise gate. When I talk, there's too much. I have to really talk loud in order to. But if I bring open down and I bring all of this down a little bit more, now you don't hear my voice chopping out. And now we want to kind of just set it to the point where you can see this is minus 65. And so this will close when that green line gets down there. I could bring it up to like 55 probably right now. And then around this area, it's going to make sure that the gate is closing. You can see a little black line right there. If I turn this off, you can still see that's my average. And when that starts to dip, that's going to turn that gate on. If I mute the guitar input, so that's all my string noise. If I come over here, I've really got to hit the guitar hard to make that thing hit. So that's how you can gate all of that sound out from your strings and your fingertips. And then that way, when you start playing, all you hear is the app. Let's say we want to not just have to go back and forth between these scenes. Let's make a third scene that has all of this kind of together. And let's see, we'll just hit plus, create scene. Yeah, 1, 2. Okay, so now I have everything from all the other scenes. Look, I can even take my room, and by grabbing those red knots, those red dots on the side, the knots, you can put your view anywhere. And then you can even put this, hide it. If I put the right screen all the way on the top, we don't see the Brio room even when I do that. So we want to make sure that if we're going to resize it, that we have it at the top here. And same thing if you added a phone or another camera or just the app interface. Maybe you just want to see the app, not your whole desktop. You can do all that through here. So now I'm going to stop the recording. I've done all of this part of the video into the Windows PC with the Lekato 2401. Everything's raw. I'm going to check it out right now. And in just a second, I'll be right back with my thoughts. Dusty approves of the color, although he's very hungry right now. So I'm going to have to wrap this up. But I did want to point out that the SF2401, 2 inputs, 2 outputs, USB interface is available on Amazon right now for $89. And there's a coupon, 20% off coupon. This is a good interface. I did have a little bit of trouble setting up the drivers. I had to I think I reinstalled them a couple of times. I may have done it the wrong way. I'm dumb. I'm old. Give me a break, all right? But I think what I did was I installed them and then uninstalled them accidentally, and then I was having troubles with them. Reinstalled them a couple times. Either way, just install the drivers just one time. Just do that one time, and you'll probably have no problems. I do recommend a restart after you install the drivers, after you install OBS, after a lot of software is thrown onto your computer. I like to restart. If you're having any kind of weird little quirks, do a full restart and then set up your scene. And from there on out, I had really no issues. As you saw, I could set my vocal in one channel, and I had the guitar, even though it's going into the same interface, being seen by the program by telling it, hey, you're just not going to listen to the voice. Otherwise, the voice is going to sound...
You sound like this. You want to sound like this. You don't want to sound like this.
We don't want that, and we do want that on the guitar. And this is a great... This was convenient as heck. It's not very big. It's small. It's a little thicker than I thought it was going to be, but it's worth it. It is about the size of a pedal, maybe a little bit bigger than a Boss regular old pedal. 48 volts, the USB option to plug it into your phone or, your computer. Anything that you want to get audio into in a variety of different ways. You can even run a mixer with a whole bunch of stuff into the two inputs. There's really no excuse to not get into the world of broadcasting yourself. Playing guitar, doing whatever it is you want to do is not expensive to get high quality audio these days. Please stop using that little microphone on your phone, because we can't tell any differences when you do that in how stuff sounds. Something you do have to consider is I had headphones on when I was using the plug-in, because if I was using the speakers, I'd really have to set that noise gate up really high or keep the volume of my guitar interface really quiet. That's not satisfying. So I put the headphones on. A lot of people put headphones on while they play and stream or record just for that purpose alone, so that they don't have to have open speakers in the room that are going to feed back and cause unwanted sounds into your microphones. Again, there's ways to deal with all of that kind of stuff. If you guys like these kind of deep dive videos, especially into gear or software or anything like that, that we can do for not too much money, make sure you subscribe, follow along, check out Lekato. If you haven't checked out Lekato, you owe it to yourself as a budget-minded person to look into what Lekato has to offer. I love their wireless stuff. I love everything they've sent to me so far. Thank you, Lekato, for continuing to support the channel here. This was sent to me. They're not paying me for any opinions, anything like that. Lekato did provide the SF2401 for me to keep and use, and that was very kind of them. Again, all the opinions of the Lekato devices and anything that anybody sends me, they're all going to be mine. Thank you guys for following along and watching the video here until the end. Please feel free to subscribe, like, or share. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, take care.